Lena walked through the glowing streets of Neon Citadel, the city that never slept. Giant holographic signs flashed advertisements for starships, energy drinks, and advanced cybernetics, painting the night in bright colors. The streets were crowded with humans, aliens, and robots moving together in a strange harmony. Yet under the surface, danger lurked everywhere. Lena kept her head down, but her mind was elsewhere. She had received a message from her best friend Mara, and the urgency in it made her stomach tighten. Mara's words had been simple. "They have me. I need help." She didn't know who they were, only that Mara was trapped somewhere dangerous. Lena had learned quickly over the years that in a city like this, danger often came from the most unexpected places. But one name kept coming up in whispered warnings: Don Varric. He was the most feared Mafia boss in the city. No one had ever crossed him and lived to tell the tale. Rumors said he had cybernetic enhancements, security drones, and elite guards who could eliminate a target in seconds. Lena clenched her fists. She wasn't a soldier or a spy. She was just an engineer, someone who built things, fixed machines, and solved problems with her mind. But she wasn't afraid. Not today. Today, she would save her friend. The message had included coordinates to a high-security gala. Lena had studied the schematics of the building quickly, memorizing every exit, security drone patrol, and camera angle. She packed her bag with tools, gadgets, and a small energy blaster she had been testing in her lab. Every step forward was measured, but her heart raced. She knew that if Varric caught her, it could be the last thing she ever did. When she arrived, the scene took her breath away. The gala was held in a tower that glimmered like a giant crystal in the night. Robots moved elegantly beside humans, serving drinks in glowing glasses. Wealthy individuals in designer cybernetic suits mingled, their faces hidden behind holographic masks. The place smelled of expensive perfume and electricity. Mara was there, cornered by a tall figure with sharp cybernetic eyes. The man spoke in a calm, cold tone, yet the words carried a weight that froze everyone nearby. Lena's blood ran cold. This was Don Varric. The aura of power around him was almost tangible. The guards stood like statues, and tiny drones hovered in the air, scanning every face. "Step back, Mara," Lena whispered to herself, her voice barely audible over the chatter of the gala. Her mind raced. How could she save her friend without being noticed? She stepped closer, careful to keep herself hidden behind pillars and guests. But Varric's attention was fully on Mara, who looked terrified. He smiled faintly, a cruel yet fascinating smile, and leaned in toward her. "You think you can hide, little bird?" His voice was like steel wrapped in silk. Lena felt her chest tighten. The seconds stretched, and then, without thinking, she did something no one expected. She stepped out from the shadows and slapped Varric across the face. The entire room froze. Drinks stopped midair. Music seemed to halt. Even the drones hovered in place. Varric's head tilted slightly from the force of the slap. A tense silence filled the air. For a moment, Lena expected immediate death. Guards would swarm her. Drones would fire. Mara would scream. But something unexpected happened. Varric's eyes locked onto hers. He didn't flinch, didn't shout. He simply studied her, a faint smile forming on his lips. "Finally," he said, almost to himself, "a real woman." The words were strange, almost respectful, but they sent a shiver down Lena's spine. She didn't understand, and she didn't have time to ask. The guards finally reacted, moving to grab her, and the drones began to activate their scanning protocols. Lena grabbed Mara's hand and sprinted toward the nearest exit. They ran through halls filled with holographic displays and automated security doors. Lena's heart pounded, but her mind worked fast. She activated a small device from her bag that emitted a blinding flash, temporarily disabling the drones in the hallway. Guards yelled and tried to regroup, but the two friends slipped through a side door Lena had marked on her map. Outside, the city lights were blinding. They darted into narrow alleys, dodging delivery drones and patrol bots. Mara stumbled, and Lena caught her just in time. "Are you okay?" Lena asked, breathing heavily. "Yes, thank you," Mara replied, her voice trembling. "I didn't think anyone would come." "You're alive now," Lena said firmly. "That's what matters." They ducked into an abandoned maintenance tunnel, the hum of the city above them muffled by thick walls. Lena leaned against the wall, trying to calm her racing heart. Mara's eyes were wide, still processing what had just happened. "Lena, you slapped him," Mara said quietly. "Do you realize what that means?" He's Don Varek. You could have died instantly. Lena shrugged, trying to appear casual. Maybe. Or maybe I just got lucky. Her mind, however, was already analyzing the situation. She had drawn attention, yes, but Varek's reaction was different, respectful, curious, not angry. It didn't make sense. As they rested, Lena thought about the words he had said. Finally, a real woman. She had no idea what he meant, but she couldn't ignore the feeling that this encounter had changed something. Something about her had reached him in a way no one else ever had. Hours passed as they moved through the city's underbelly, using old smuggling routes and forgotten tunnels Lena had learned about as a child exploring abandoned tech stations. Finally, they reached Lena's small apartment in a quiet sector of the city. It wasn't much, but it was safe. Mara collapsed on the couch, exhausted. I don't know how you do it, she said, shaking her head. You're not a fighter, but you just stood up to him. You slapped him, Lena. You actually slapped Don Varek. Lena sank into a chair, still catching her breath. I don't know either. I just did what I had to do. Her eyes drifted to the city outside the window, neon lights reflecting in her determined gaze. But we're not safe yet. That was just the beginning, Mara frowned. What do you mean? Lena's fingers tapped on the table, thinking fast. Varek won't forget me. No one survives a slap like that and walks away, not without consequences. He's going to be interested, maybe in ways we can't predict. We need to be ready. Mara looked worried, but she nodded. Then we prepare, together. Over the next few hours, Lena worked on her devices. She checked every sensor, every comms network, and every small gadget she had. She knew she needed more than courage. She needed an advantage. Her mind raced with possibilities, tracking Varek's movements, preparing traps, and creating ways to protect herself and Mara if the Mafia boss came looking. Even as she worked, Lena couldn't stop thinking about the strange smile on Varek's face. He had expected fear, submission, or maybe anger, but he hadn't expected her courage. His reaction was unusual, almost human. She wondered if there was a side to him no one else had ever seen. The night passed quietly, but the city never truly sleeps. Distant sirens, low hums of airships, and the occasional drone buzz reminded Lena that danger was always near. And yet, for the first time, she felt a spark of something unusual. Curiosity, perhaps, or the knowledge that one human mind, one human act of courage, could ripple through even the most powerful circles. By morning, Lena had made a plan. She and Mara would lay low, gather information, and prepare for whatever Varek decided to do next. But one thought remained at the back of her mind. This was more than a simple rescue. By standing up, by showing courage, she had already shifted the balance in ways neither she nor Mara could fully understand. As Lena packed a small bag for movement through the city's safer sectors, Mara asked, "Do you think he'll really come after us?" Lena paused, looking at the skyline of Neon Citadel. Maybe, she said softly, but if he does, he'll see that humans are more than what he expects, that sometimes courage alone can change the game, and with that, they left the apartment, disappearing into the city's neon glow, two friends moving through a world where danger, power, and human courage collided in ways no one could have predicted. Somewhere, far above in the skyscrapers and hidden penthouses, Don Varek observed. His face was unreadable, yet a faint smile lingered on his lips. Finally, he thought, someone worthy of notice. And in that moment, a story was just beginning. A story where one human's courage could ripple through even the deadliest forces of the galaxy. The sun had barely risen over Neon Citadel when Lena and Mara moved through the quiet alleys, careful to avoid the early patrol drones. The city was waking up, its towering structures glowing softly in the morning light, but Lena knew the calm was only temporary. Don Varek's attention was now firmly on her, and she had no illusions about the danger that could follow. "Where do we go from here?" Mara asked, keeping close. Her voice trembled slightly, but there was a spark of determination in her eyes. "We prepare," Lena replied firmly. "We can't run forever. We need to understand him, understand his network, and then decide how to use it." They retreated to Lena's hidden workshop beneath an abandoned tech station. The place was cluttered with tools, half-built gadgets, and computer terminals humming with soft blue light. Lena's mind moved quickly, already designing plans to turn the situation to their advantage. If she had learned anything from years of engineering, it was that even the strongest systems had weaknesses, if you knew where to look. Lena began scanning public feeds and data streams from Varek's organization. Security patterns, drone patrols, guard rotations, everything. Mara watched, amazed at Lena's focus. "You really think we can outsmart him?" she asked. Lena didn't answer immediately. "We don't need to outsmart him completely. We just need to show him something unexpected. Courage, creativity, the human way of thinking differently. That might be enough." For the next few days, Lena created devices that could disrupt surveillance drones, trackers that could hide their movements, and communication tools that let them monitor Varek's patrols without being detected. Each device reflected not brute force but ingenuity, the kind of thinking no automated system could anticipate. Meanwhile, Varek observed quietly from the shadows. He had begun sending subtle messages, testing Lena's reactions, watching how she moved, how she thought. Unlike others who cowered or tried to manipulate him, Lena acted with honesty and courage. He respected that, and it intrigued him more than any threat or bribe could. One evening, Lena and Mara received an encrypted message on their secure channel. It was short: "Meet me. You may find your courage rewarded." The signature was unmistakable, Varek himself. Mara froze. "Is this a trap?" "Possibly," Lena admitted. "But it's also an opportunity, and we have to be ready for both." They agreed to meet in a neutral zone, a derelict spaceport at the edge of the city. The port was abandoned for decades, filled with old cargo ships and flickering lights. Lena carried her gadgets, her blasters hidden but ready, while Mara stayed close, trusting her friend's judgment. As they approached the meeting point, Varek appeared from the shadows, flanked by two guards who remained just out of threatening distance. His cybernetic eye glimmered faintly, scanning them carefully. "Lena," he said calmly, his voice carrying the weight of command, "I watched how you moved through my city, how you saved your friend. Most would fear me. Most would obey. But not you." "I'm not here to play games," Lena replied, her tone steady. "We're here to understand what you want." Varek nodded slowly. "I want to see if humanity can surprise me. I want to see courage that is not fueled by fear but by principle, and I want your help." Lena raised an eyebrow. "Help? With what?" "Other factions are challenging my control," Varek explained. "They underestimate humans, underestimate ingenuity. If you assist me, you and your friend can remain safe, and you will see that the galaxy has more to offer than hiding." Lena considered this. She didn't trust him fully, but she saw a possibility. A chance to turn a dangerous situation into an advantage. "Fine," she said. "But we do it on our terms. No harm comes to Mara, and I remain independent." Varek studied her carefully. "Agreed, your terms show honesty. That is rare." The first mission was delicate. A rival gang had taken control of a small cargo hub on the city's outskirts. They had automated defense systems and hired mercenaries. Lena led the approach, using gadgets she had built to jam communication signals, disable drones, and create temporary holographic decoys. When the team arrived, Varek's men expected a straightforward assault, but Lena's plan was unconventional. She rerouted energy grids, activated old cargo lifts to crush barricades, and used electromagnetic pulses to disable weapons. The rival gang was stunned, outsmarted at every turn. Varek watched silently, his face unreadable, yet there was a faint admiration in his eyes. Lena's courage and ingenuity had turned a dangerous situation into a swift victory. After the operation, they returned to the derelict spaceport. Mara looked at Lena with awe. "You really outsmarted them." Without firing a single shot, Lena smiled faintly. "Brains over brawn, always." Varek approached, his cybernetic eye flickering softly. "You see, Lena, humans are unpredictable. You think differently, act differently, and that is power. I respect that. You've earned your place here, not because of force, but because of courage and intellect. For the first time, Lena saw a different side of the Mafia boss, the side that valued skill, ingenuity, and courage over fear. It didn't erase the danger, but it changed the rules of engagement. Weeks passed, and Lena continued to assist Varek in small but significant ways. Each success earned her more respect from his organization. She wasn't afraid of technology, guards, or drones. She thrived on thinking ahead, finding solutions, and acting with precision. Through it all, she maintained her independence. Mara stayed close, safe under Lena's careful planning, witnessing how one human could challenge assumptions, even in a world dominated by power and fear. Then one night, Varric invited them to the top of the tallest tower in Neon Citadel. The city stretched endlessly below, neon lights sparkling like stars. Varric stood beside Lena, looking at the sprawling metropolis. "You've done more than survive," he said quietly. "You've changed the way I view humans. Most are tools or threats, but you are different. Courage, creativity, loyalty. That is something even my best systems cannot predict." Lena met his gaze, steady and unafraid. "I did what I had to do. That's all." Varric smiled faintly. "No, that is not all. You reminded me that power alone is meaningless without respect. And that is why I said before, finally a real woman. Not because of defiance, but because of integrity, intelligence, and courage." For Lena, the words didn't flatter or scare her. They confirmed what she had always believed. One human, with determination and ingenuity, could face overwhelming odds and shift the balance of power. That night, as Lena and Mara returned to their safe place, the city buzzed below them. They knew the world had changed. Varric had recognized their value, yes, but more importantly, Lena had proven something profound. Courage and intelligence could stand against even the most formidable power. And somewhere, in the shadows of Neon Citadel, Don Varric watched over the city and smiled. Humanity had shown him something unexpected, and Lena, the engineer who slapped the Mafia boss, had become a symbol of what humans could achieve when they refused to bow to fear. From that day forward, Lena knew one truth with absolute clarity. Human courage could challenge the galaxy, one bold act at a time. The adventure was far from over. Varric's interest meant more challenges, more dangerous missions, but Lena was ready. She wasn't just surviving. She was reshaping the rules, proving that one human mind, one fearless heart, could make even the most powerful beings pause, think, and respect. And so as the neon lights flickered in the night, Lena and Mara moved forward together, not as victims of circumstance, but as architects of their own destiny. Humanity had won not through sheer force, but through courage, intellect, and unwavering loyalty. And that was just the beginning.